I'm going to discuss about action verbs, which is the part of the action selectors which we had discussed in our previous lecture. And also we will see how to create models within MVC 5. So let's get started. Before going to start, just to remember the points which were important within the action selectors. The first point was MVC framework routing engine uses action selectors attributes to determine which action method to invoke. Second thing is 3 action selectors attributes are available in MVC 5: action name, non-action, action verbs, which we will see today. Action name attribute is used to specify different name of actions than method name. Non-action attribute marks the public method of a controller class as non-action method. It cannot be invoked by clicking on any event from the view side. So let's get started and see what action verbs are. Action verbs. The action verb selector is used when you want to control the selection of an action method based on a HTTP request method. For example, you can define 2 different action methods within the same name, but one action method presents your response to an HTTP GET request and other action method responds to an HTTP POST request. MVC framework supports different action verbs such as HTTP GET, HTTP POST, HTTP PUT, HTTP DELETE, HTTP options, and HTTP patch. In this lecture, we will see the 2 one HTTP GET and HTTP POST. You can apply any of these attributes to action methods to indicate the kind of HTTP request the action method supports. If you do not apply any attribute, then it considers it by default a GET request. So let's see how it works. In our previous lectures, we had created a solution or a project with the name My First MVC. And we had also created a student controller in one of our previous lectures in which I had discussed about the controller. So in this controller method, I am going to create some methods by using the action verbs attributes to behave differently. The name will remain the same, but the parameters will be different, and the invocation time will be different by the MVC framework. So let's see how it works. Again, in our right, we will have to make our action method public. View result. Let's write a specific view result as a return type for this, and let's keep it the name edit. Right? We will have to have an ID here, and that's it. And the return type should be return view, and we will pass to it std students object so that it may get populated. We'll create a view for it, and also before going to create a view for this purpose, we will create a model which is our today's topic, and also I will see and I will show you how action verbs get into action and how those action verbs behave, especially the get and the post. By default, as I have just told you, the action verb is get, HTTP get. So let's create a model. What actually model is? Model represents our database. Model represents our data reservoir. It is basically it contains our model. It contains the objects which interact with the database tables. Model represents domain-specific data and business logic in MVC architecture. It maintains the data of the application. Model objects retrieve and store model state in the persistent store like a database. Model class holds data in public properties. All the model classes reside in the model folder in MVC folder structure. The public properties, it is just like your properties which you have already used in C sharp. So the same properties mechanism we will use to hold the data in our model classes in MVC for in our MVC framework. So let's see how we can add a new class in MVC. You'll have to go and right click on your the name of your on the name of your project in the Solution Explorer. Just click on it, right click on it, and you will find here go and add a class. Click on the add, a submenu will appear. Then on this submenu, on the very bottom, you will see a class item menu. Just click on this item menu class. A dialog box will appear. You just need to write the name here. By default, it has already selected Visual C Sharp class, and you just need to write a name here, class. You will write here student, student, student. Do not make it plural. It will automatically be linked. Most of the time, the tables names are written as a plural, while the classes, the models names are written as singular. So this is a naming convention you will have to use. You can also change it. It is all up to you. So right here student.cs, and it will generate a class. Here it has generated a class, I think so, outside of the models. So this is just a way here it has created. But if we want to or if we want to take the full advantage of the MVC framework, we'll have to create our classes. We have to create our models within the models folder. I had discussed in detail about the structure of the MVC application, MVC framework in ASP.NET C Sharp. So we will just delete this class from here. I am going to remove this class because this is not the right way to create it. I am going to just delete it. I will just click on the models folder and right click here. I will just go to the adds menu item, and a sub menu menu will appear. Click on the class sub item menu. A new class by a dialog box will open. Right here the name student, student, student. So a new class will be created. So this is your model. You can see the namespace is my first MVC.models. So now the your framework will now from where the models reside, and from where we need to pick up the models. So this is very important thing. And if you are going to also going to use scaffolding, so the system will automatically pick up the name of the models from this models folder. So I have already made some properties. I will just pick those, just copy and paste just to save the time. In the same way, these are the generic dynamic attributes. These are dynamic properties. This is the way we have not written getter and setters here. We have just left the body of getter and the setter methods, and this is called the dynamic properties. So I have just defined public and standard student ID. you can just write here id, it will be picked up. It is a naming convention, you can just keep it as it is, id. So the system will automatically pick know that this is basically the primary key. Right here I have defined a string, the name of the student, which is very important. You can also define any kind of properties here, whatever the attributes a student have, like his roll number, like his email address, phone number, etc. So the third property is age. So this is all about students for the moment. So the next thing is, the next part is we need to add, we need to link it with the controller so that we can add it, we can show these students. So in order to do so, I'm going to add here a view. And before going to adding a view, I will discuss in detail later on in the coming lectures. I have declared a list, a global property of the student controller class, which is holding basically a student models attribute, models object, and I have created an object of this list class students, a variable of this list class student. So it is giving me as error because I have not included the namespace student within this uh, controller. So I will have to write here using my first MVC dot models, include the models here. So we have incorporated all the models within this student class. It is giving again error because while writing the name, I had kept its name in small, which was my mistake. C sharps follows the camel case naming conventions, so you do follow that. This is just some mistake. So I'm going to make it correct. I will not use it as it is. Just change it. Also change, rename your student dossiers class so that you can see the error has already gone. But let's also change the name of the students to STUD and the students. The first letter is in caps, so it is the correct way to write basically the student, write basically the names of the objects within the MVC framework, especially the C sharp, with C sharp. So this is all about. So the error has already gone. So let's also create by the public controller, public constructor of this class, so that we may populate, because I'm not going to link it right now with the database. So that's why I have taken a list and list variable, and I'm going to populate it with the student object. So just do it, an empty without parameterized controller will be created here, and this student will be populated. I have already done it in order to save our time. So let's take it from here. Here I have already populated the list with some data, which we will later on use it. It will give me error because I have just changed student ID to ID. So just remove it student and leave it the ID as it is. So that's it. My mistake. So we have just initialized our student list with some data, and we will use it in later on in different ways. Here I have just kept std. I will just find what I will find. No, it is wrong. Std. I'm taking just a variable. Std is equals to a variable, so that it may automatically pick up the type of the returning object. I will just say student. This is a global variable. Students dot where I'm going to use a lambda expression. S is equals to s dot id double equals to id which is coming from or get request which is coming the student which we are going to add it. So dot find first or default, this is the right way to get the results. So that's it, we have just written all data here. I'm going to add a view, right click anywhere within the pocket of this added method and go to the right add view. It will automatically pick up the name of the view, just keep as it is, you do not need to change it, otherwise you'll have to pass a name to the view method. Keep it as it is so that MVC framework may know where the added view resides, and you can take the full advantage of the framework. We will have to create we'll have to use an edit template, and we'll have to choose what model we are going to bind with this. So I am going to choose a student model because this is for student, and leave empty because I'm not going to overwrite the default layout of this for this work. Click on the add. Yes, that's going to replace because I had already did this replace that. The scaffolding will start, and the Microsoft scaffolded item will generate a new view for our purpose. So let's see where it has created. Go to the views. Before that, the views folder was empty. It has created a folder student, and if you remember, we had created a new student view before, and within the student it has created the added view, and you can see it has already included the model student in this view class, and there's some properties it has defined, and it has picked up each and everything from the student's model. So it is a ready-made, it is a scaffolded item, so it will help us to populate or edit student for editing or student. So let's see how action verbs work. So let's create another method with the same name, public, right? Action result we will use, so that because we aren't going to return we are going to return what we are going to return. We are going to return it back to the index page when the student will be updated by the end user. So we will use the model binding mechanism for this purpose. So that each and everything will be bound automatically. There is no need to do anything extra. Return redirect to action. Let's copy it because redirect to action, return redirect to action, because we are going to redirect to action, right? Type the name of action here. Just that's it, it's complete. And we need to update our system. We need to update the incoming student data back to the database. But right now here we have a list, so we will update our list here. So first of all, we will find the actual student, and then we will replace the values of that student accordingly. I have already done it in order to save my time. So this is what I have already done. I will just copy and paste here. Let me tell you students. So first default, I have just find the value of the I have just found the student which we are going to update. So student, basically there is no student ID, the name is ID, and also there is ID. So just change it and everything is okay. Once we have found the student to which we are going to update, we have just verified here, and after the verification we have updated the values of that particular student which we have just updated and edited. So this is all about. So what is the difference in the between these two? There's no difference. So how the MVC framework know about will know about to which action method it needs to invoke, because the name of the both methods are the same while the parameters are different, so it will get confused and will throw an exception. So here the role of the action verbs and comes into action and plays its role. So we'll write here an attribute on the top of this method because this method will be invoked when somebody from the view will hit the update button. So when the somebody will hit the update button, this method will get invoked. So that's why this request will come from the post. So we will write here HTTP post. So we have changed the behavior of this method. So this method will be invoked when the get request will come, and this method will be invoked when the posted value post request will come. So this is the action verbs. Basically, you can also write here action HTTP delete, HTTP post, and HTTP let me tell you, HTTP put and patch and option and have whatever you want to use, but I have used HTTP post, right? So this is all about. So let's run it and see how it works, whether it gives us error or whether it runs successfully. So just compile it and run it. I hope it must not give any kind of errors to us. Let's see what happens. And with the execution of this today's application, our lecture will get finished. And I will see you in the next lecture. So it is still working and trying to load the application. It is taking too much time just because of my system is so wait for a moment. It is loading, it is loading, it is building, it is making, it is starting. So okay, I hope it is going to run. It must not show any error. Let's see what's happened. The application is loading into the browser. No, I'm not going to terminate anything. Close it. It is taking a little bit just because I have just compiled my application in the debug mode. That's why. It is running, it is running, it is opening. Let's see, and we'll see something in action very soon. I hope so. I will also populate the index method. Right now it will show us this is my first student controller by using MVC in ASP.NET. So the application has loaded successfully. So let's see what happens here. Student and added and one. That's it. Let's see what's happened. It must show us something. Wow, it has loaded the first first student from our list, Murtaza A35, and it's successfully. We can also change and pass other students ID here. You can change, it is getting loaded. So this is all about. I'm going to change the value of this. So let's say 22, right, and save. It will go to the action second action method, which was or added, and which was called when the HTTP post request came from the browser, and we had redirected it to the control action index. So you can see the what we had in index method. This is my first one controller by using MVC. So you can see the values here. You can see here, this is my first student controller by using MVC in ASP.NET. So it has successfully run. So let's see what happened with that particular students, because I have just updated that and the request came. I have not stored that permanently, that's why that did not work, but our complete flow worked successfully. So thank you very much. This was all about MVC action verbs within the action selectors topic, and also about the models in brief. I will see you in the next lecture. Thank you very much.